On to question 3b from checkpoint 3.4. When does the baseball from the previous problem reach its maximum height? What is the maximum height? Round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so normally I would sketch a graph here, but we've actually already done that, so I'm just going to use that graph. I'm going to point out the area that they care about. They've said the maximum height. That would be this right here. That's the highest point that it was able to reach. I don't know when that was. Um, it won't be 5.1. It'll be about half of 5.1, not perfectly half because this is kind of hanging off to the side. So it's not exactly halfway, but pretty close to halfway. So it's going to be about 2.5 seconds-ish. Um, but it is important that I know the name of this point. The name of this point is the vertex. They're not going to say, find the vertex. You have to know that that's what they're asking for. When they say maximum height, they're asking for the vertex. Maximum is a good key word for knowing that they're asking for the vertex, but it's also valuable to know how to sketch the graph and to point to the thing that they're asking for. So what is the maximum height? All right, well, we need to find the vertex, which means that we are going to have to use the formula, the vertex formula, which is, I'm going to say t equals negative b over 2a. Normally it's x equals, but we don't have x's in this problem. We have t's in this problem. So negative b over 2a, that is going to be negative 82 over 2 times negative 16. Okay, I'll have the calculator help me. That is going to be negative 82 divided by negative 32 because 2 times 16 is 32. And that gives me 2.5625. 2.5625. I have labeled this as t as a reminder of what I've solved for. So t equals 2.5625. T is time in seconds, so it's about 2.5 seconds. Um, and it says, when does the ball reach the previous, when does the baseball from the previous problem reach its maximum height? Okay, now I know when it reaches its maximum height. When t equals 2.6. I'm saying 2.6 because they asked me to round to the nearest tenth. Tenths place is the first decimal place. I have to look at the next decimal place to see if it's a 5 or bigger to round or not. Since it is a 5 or bigger, I will round. If this was 2.54, then I would not round up. I would just leave it as 2.5, but rounding, I'm going to make it 2.6. But I haven't fully answered the question. It also says, what is the maximum height? Well, if only I had a height function. That would be super great. If they want to know the maximum height, man, if only I could just have some sort of height formula to calculate that for me. Oh, wait a second. We do. We do have a height formula. Let's use it. I'm just going to take this t value and plug it into here. So uh, I'm going to be a little bit lazy and use the calculator for this. What I'm doing is plugging in, I'm going to use this number, 2.5625. Oh, this number, h of 2.5625. I don't want to plug rounded numbers into my formulas. I would rather use exact numbers in my formulas and then round the output. Um, so negative 16t squared plus 82t plus 2. Let's just type that in the calculator. Let's store this answer into x. And then we're going to go negative 16x squared, negative 16x squared, and then plus 82x, 82x, and then plus 2. Wow, 107. That's big. What is that? Feet, meters, inches? What do we got? In feet. Okay. So that is 107.1 feet. So h is equal to 107.1 feet. And there we go. We figured out the maximum height. We figured out when it reaches the maximum height, which is 2.6 seconds, and also what the actual maximum height is, 107.1. Whenever you take your test, you are going to see a couple of problems like this. They probably won't be the same problem. B was just a continuation of A. On the test, it's most likely going to be two separate problems, and they're not going to tell you what you're solving for. They're not going to tell you to find the x-intercept using the quadratic formula. They're not going to tell you to find the vertex using the negative b over 2a formula. You have to be able to read the problem and figure out what they're asking for. So some key words. If you're hitting the ground, that means x-intercept. If you're looking for a maximum, finding a maximum or a minimum is going to be finding a vertex, which is most likely going to be the negative b over 2a formula rather than what we did on 1a, where it was already in vertex form and we can just read it out. Most likely going to be negative b over 2a. But yeah, there you go. That's how you can find an x-intercept from a word problem and a vertex from a word problem.